So it's something that can also be sourced commercially. You don't have to buy it through us. Again, and that's our whole philosophy. We don't try and keep you in our ecosystem where you have to buy everything through us and have a markup on it. So we try and give you choices on that type of stuff.
I got a question.
Sure.
With your ADA, can you print reports from the accessible equipment screen, or would you have to proof it on screen? Like if we wanted to proof the names and stuff, would you have to proof it on the computer, or could you print like a report from that previous screen?
Clear Design has a bevy of reports that you can access, and they apply to the Clear Access as well. So you would print those from Clear Design and be able to proof your names that way.
Okay.
You wouldn't have to proof them on the screen, even though you'd probably run through some ballots there for sure.
Okay.
The reports that you can get from this machine really are for card accounting functions, how many voting sessions have gone through it, how many ballots have actually been printed versus canceled, and so on. And you can get all that type of data out of this machine. But this isn't tabulating anything, so those are just really the types of reports that we provide in it.
What, is that like a monitor that, what is that? Can you like just?
This?
Yeah, pick it up all of it so we can.
Sure. This is a ELO. We offer two separate versions of this of a touchscreen option. So it's a monitor connected to a small CPU in the back, which is really what drives everything that's on it.
Sorry, I didn't mean for you to like break it. I'm sorry. We just.
Yep, so this is our smaller version, which we like taking around for demos. We also have a larger screen version as well. Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like your philosophy for your products reminds me of something I read a long time ago, where I think out of Los Angeles, they woke up one day and said, why does everybody have to buy everything from the vendor, and you're locked into $300 batteries and $200 this? And didn't they sit down and say, we need to make a system where as times change, we can just go to the store, go to the Best Buy, go to the Staples, go wherever and buy our stuff. Is that part of your influence? That might be helpful to explain that we're trying to make a system for most of the stuff to be off the shelf and not chain handcuffing to the companies.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that specifically was part of our influence, but I know that that's part of our.
That's been our mindset since day one. Right? We believe that we want to offer you the options. It has a couple of important influences for the county. One is cost, quite frankly. Right? You can source things at better cost, not going for you. Two is you have the ongoing innovation. Right? You're not going to be stuck with something that maybe was bought in 2009 that you're still tied in with. You continue to upgrade, innovate pieces at a time. Right? You don't need to replace the whole system with one thing upgrades. We bring in new pieces of the system and they can carry. That is a very important philosophy for us. There's also some things around, if something goes wrong on election day or before, and there's a lot more. Our supply chain for these pieces of hardware is enormous. Right? The ability to get scanners delivered, we can get 20 scanners in a week. Right? These are huge global companies with huge supply chains of hardware. That's really important. So there's a number of features around it. I think what your point is about waking up and realizing you're locked in. We want you to be a software partner of ours, and we're going to work together to keep innovating on the other side. We don't want you locked in on a battery.
Well, the point was, they decided we should help develop products like this instead of waiting for vendors to come around with their wares that are tied to it.
Yep. Los Angeles is doing some great things.
Sure.
Just two quick ones. One, tell us if there's any kind of battery backup for that system, and then we typically use longer ballot stock. So is there some kind of attachment or something that we can send out to poll places to accommodate that?
Yeah, so this machine will duplex an 18-inch ballot as is. The tray at the bottom extends out the back. So I believe that should handle your requirements the vast majority of the time. What's the other question?
Power backup.
Oh, power backup. So we have an external battery that could come with it. So basically power brick. It is a laser printer, so obviously you need, if you want to have backup power, you would need to have some type not something built into this machine, so those can be provided to you. What we've seen some other clients do around that is not providing it to every location, but having a stock of them on the go, ready in case a location does go out of power, and then delivering one on the fly. Yep.
With the monitor, you mentioned there's two different sizes.
Yep.
Okay, you know the dimensions of the two sizes, which ones are you using standard in most of the locations?
I do not know the dimension.
The other one is 20, it's a customer choice. Some customers like the big screen because they want that voter experience. Others want the smaller screen. This is a 15, the other one's a 20.
Do they both fit into the casing that
Yes.
you have there?
Yeah, we have casing options for both models.
For
Generally
storage,
speaking,
Think about storage and so forth.
They actually both fit in the same case.
generally speaking, I would say that, you know, when you're transporting something out to locations, the smaller ones are better for transport and all of that. The larger screens are usually used in an early voting site, an area that's a little more manageable.
And you can interchange it.
Is it only that printer that will work with that, or if you hooked up some other printer, would it work with that?
We actually, so the software is set to read that printer specifically, but it's not necessarily tied, but that's all part of certification. So you do have to use part of the certified fleet.
So what I would say is that's a certified thing, but it's from an innovation standpoint, what's coming next, we're not tied to any of that.
Yeah.
And so we're always working we started with a different printer. This is our second model that added the 18-inch capabilities. We used to max out 14 inches.
Yeah.
That added 18 inches. We're looking at things that do 22 inches. We have valid demand printing options that do 21 inches that we're looking at that tie in together, same company. Oki's actually building an election division around it with us and with others. So there's a lot of continued innovation on that front that we'll focus on.
One more question. How long is the battery life on that if we lost power at a location?
So you would need the power backup
Okay.
immediately because you cannot print
Okay.
without a battery backup.
I got you.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you, before we continue to interrupt, like, you every time that you say like one thing that we
No worries.
just need to know all the
That's what
details
we're
about.
here
Can you just kind of tell us maybe where you're going next, so we may cut some of that out a little bit, like, so.
Where
we're gonna
James
keep-
is going next?
Yes.
It's going to Columbus now.
So the
Why wait now?
next piece about this machine.
Yeah, well,
Sure.
I just wanna make sure that we know, that we're gonna get to the reason scare, like,
No, I
I don't wanna.
appreciate that. That actually leads me perfectly into what's next.
I was
So
throwing out there.
I mentioned at the beginning that this device is not just for 88 voters. We really call this a voter services device because its ability to print a marked full paper ballot. So we have a very unique concept, and we'll get into this more this afternoon, but a unique concept called ballot sets in our system, which gives you more control over your ballots probably than you've ever had before. So we can do different things like, for example, right now I know 17-year-olds can vote in Ohio. And how do you guys handle that right now?
We put a stamp, so we print the same ballot stock, they go and they get a ballot that has, contest on it that they're unqualified to vote for,
Yep.
or allowed to vote for, I guess I should say. And our poll workers take a ink stamp that says 17-year-old, and we stamp that on the top of the ballot, and then we remake those ballots back here after election day.
And then put them through the scanners. So with
There's a lot
our
more to it
system
than
and
that,
that
but-
concept of ballot sets, so having different types of ballots that can be run in the same election, you could, for example, direct all 17-year-olds to vote on this device, and it will only through a 17-year-old specific ballot style that you don't have to worry about printing and sending pre-printed ballots out to the polls on. You could send them to this device, they use the touchscreen to mark their ballot and ultimately print off a ballot that can then be cast directly into the scanner. That only allows them to vote on the contest that they are eligible to vote on. So it eliminates all of that back-end work for you, but more importantly, it brings them into the process. No longer does their ballot have to be escrowed and brought back. They can vote just like everybody else, like they're eligible to, and cast their ballot directly into the scanner. So it's more inclusive that way. And I will actually show you an example. So this is the ballot I just printed when I kind of walked you through that system. Again, candidate contests on the front, which 17-year-old voters would be eligible for. Question and issues on the back, right? This is a 17-year-old ballot printed from this earlier today when we were setting up. Candidate contests on the front, no questions and issues on the back. And these ballots can be scanned back to back in the same election. We can read anything through any of our scanners in the same election back to back, as long as the scanner's set to read these ballot styles from a 5.5-inch ballot up to a 22-inch ballot. So it gives you more flexibility in what you guys can do with your ballots. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you have the same issue like with, single ADA voter, or if you have a single 17-year-old voter, their ballot is distinguishable from the normal populated ballots.
That's a very good point. So that's all trade-offs that you make, right? If you want to have them included in that process, it would look different than you're 100% right. But again, those aren't the decisions that we make. We try and give you the tools to be able to do these different things, right?
You could certainly still run your old process with the stamp too, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Is there a report that could generate, that would tell us how many 17-year-olds were voted on that, or even how many were voted on that for accounting purposes at the end of the night?
So in the polls, or
At
so
the end of the night,
to
the
reconcile
accounting
your.
process.
Yes. Yeah.
Here is, I can show you before we're done.
Yes, thank you.
Whole accounting chart. Can be printed straight from that print.
Okay, and it'll, okay.
Any other questions on the accessible device? Sure.
You said about the battery, you have to attach